A week ago today, as 4 inches of snow accumulated in my yard, my wife wondered out loud about the chances that the snow cover would stick around the entire winter. I thought that was a neat question. My gut said no way, but I wasn't sure. So let's see what history says. First, let me say that measurements of snow depth aren't as widely available as temperature and precipitation data. And where we do have snow depths, the data usually only goes back to the 1940s. And snow depths are rounded to the nearest inch. So we'll have to use 1 inch on the ground as the criterion for a snow cover. Actually, a reasonable benchmark, given that anything less doesn't really look and feel like a snowpack anyway. I'll start with the average number of days per winter with at least 1 inch of snow on the ground. And by winter, I mean October through April. The range here is from barely 2 weeks worth of days in Philadelphia to almost 70 days per winter in Erie. But there's quite a bit of variability around these averages from year to year. Here's the greatest number of days in any winter with at least 1 inch of snow on the ground, plus the winter when it occurred. From the mountains west, the brutal winter of 1977-78 holds that distinction, a snow cover for about 100 days in State College in Erie, 75 in Pittsburgh. Southeast of the mountains, the record is held by 2 other rough winters, 1993-94 in Harrisburg and 1960-61 in Philadelphia. Just to get a sense for how last winter compared, here's those numbers in parentheses. Not close to the records except in Philadelphia. Now, at the other extreme, here's the fewest number of days in any winter with at least 1 inch of snow on the ground. There have actually been 3 winters in Philadelphia with 0 such days. Pretty remarkable. And in one of those winters, 1949-50, Harrisburg had just 1 day with 1 inch and Pittsburgh only 4. Along the lake, the fewest number of days is around 20. That happened 3 years ago during a winter with relatively little lake effect snow. Finally, back to the original question about how long a snow cover laid down in November can stick around. The longest I could find in State College is 22 days, back in 1958, when a storm dumped 6 inches on November 29th, and the snowpack lasted until December 20th. Here's the same information at the other places, even shorter periods of time, just 7 to 9 days at Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. Now in Erie, I found a stretch of more than 3 weeks back in 2008, but the asterisk reminds me that Erie's data is incomplete. Evidence from nearby stations suggests that during the winter of 2000-2001, and maybe 1 or 2 others, snow that fell in November actually stuck around there until February. The takeaway here is that a snow in November is very unlikely to stick around very long, except possibly in the Northwest. This year was a good example. Last week's snow washed away by Monday, and even the heavy mid-November lake effect snow in Erie only lasted about a week on the ground. Paul Knight is back next with the extended forecast.